In the early hours of April 26, 1986, a disaster of unprecedented scale struck the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near Pripyat, Ukraine. The Chernobyl disaster, as it came to be known, was the world's worst nuclear accident, releasing catastrophic amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. This event shook the world, exposing the devastating consequences of human error and technological failure. The Chernobyl disaster serves as a stark reminder of the immense power of nuclear energy and the importance of responsible stewardship of such technology. The explosion and subsequent fire at Chernobyl's Reactor No. 4 released a radioactive plume that spread across Europe and beyond. The immediate impact was devastating, with firefighters and plant workers facing lethal doses of radiation. The long-term consequences continue to unfold, with increased cancer rates and environmental contamination plaguing the region. The Chernobyl disaster forced a global reckoning with the safety of nuclear power. It exposed flaws in reactor design, operational practices, and emergency response protocols. The disaster led to significant changes in the nuclear industry, prompting increased international cooperation on safety standards and a reassessment of nuclear energy's role in the global energy mix. At the heart of the Chernobyl disaster lay the RBMK-1000 reactor, a Soviet-designed reactor type known for its inherent instability. The RBMK-1000 was a graphite-moderated water-cooled reactor, a combination that proved to be a fatal flaw. Unlike other reactor designs of the time, the RBMK-1000 lacked a robust containment structure, a critical safety feature designed to contain radioactive material in the event of an accident. The reactor's design also suffered from a dangerous positive void coefficient. This meant that as the reactor heated up, the rate of nuclear reactions would increase, creating a runaway chain reaction. This inherent instability made the RBMK-1000 reactor highly susceptible to accidents, particularly in the hands of inadequately trained operators. The Soviet Union's pursuit of rapid industrialization and its desire to showcase its technological prowess led to shortcuts in safety protocols and a culture of secrecy that discouraged the reporting of problems. This combination of flawed design and operational deficiencies set the stage for the Chernobyl disaster. The events leading up to the Chernobyl disaster unfolded over several hours, a series of missteps and misjudgments that culminated in catastrophe. On April 25, 1986, a routine safety test was scheduled for Reactor No. 4. The test aimed to simulate a power outage and assess the reactor's ability to cool itself using backup generators. However, the test was poorly planned and executed. Operators, under pressure to complete the test, violated several safety protocols, disabling critical safety systems and reducing power output to dangerously low levels. The reactor became unstable, and its power output fluctuated wildly. Despite warning signs, operators continued with the test, unaware of the dangerous conditions they were creating. The reactor's power surged uncontrollably, leading to a rapid increase in temperature and pressure within the reactor core. The Chernobyl disaster was not solely the result of flawed reactor design. Human error played a significant role in the events of that fateful night. Operators, working under pressure and with inadequate training, made a series of critical errors that exacerbated the situation. One of the most significant errors was the disabling of the reactor's emergency cooling system. This system, designed to inject cool water into the reactor core in case of overheating, was deactivated during the test, leaving the reactor vulnerable to a runaway chain reaction. Operators also failed to recognize the severity of the situation until it was too late. Warning signals were ignored or misinterpreted, and communication breakdowns between operators and supervisors hampered efforts to regain control of the reactor. Section 5. The explosion, a moment frozen in time. At 1:23:45 a.m. on April 26, 1986, Reactor No. 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. The explosion, caused by a sudden and massive power surge, ripped apart the reactor core, sending a plume of radioactive material high into the atmosphere. The force of the explosion was equivalent to that of hundreds of tons of TNT, destroying the reactor building and showering the surrounding area with debris. The reactor core, now exposed to the open air, ignited, spewing radioactive material into the atmosphere for days. The initial explosion killed 2 plant workers instantly. Firefighters, unaware of the invisible danger they faced, rushed to the scene to battle the blaze, exposing themselves to lethal doses of radiation. Section 6. The immediate aftermath. A city evacuated, a world in shock. The immediate aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster was chaotic and terrifying. The Soviet government, initially slow to react, began evacuating the nearby city of Pripyat, home to 50,000 people, 36 hours after the explosion. Residents, told to pack only essential belongings, were assured that their evacuation would be temporary. They left behind their homes, their possessions, and their lives, unaware that they would never return. The Soviet Union, initially reluctant to acknowledge the scale of the disaster, attempted to downplay the incident. However, the spread of radiation across Europe, detected by monitoring stations thousands of miles away, forced the Soviet Union to admit the severity of the situation. Section 7. The Liquidators, Heroes of the Chernobyl Aftermath. In the wake of the Chernobyl disaster, hundreds of thousands of people, known as liquidators, were mobilized to contain the disaster and mitigate its consequences. These brave individuals, many of them volunteers, risked their lives to extinguish fires, decontaminate the area, and entomb the destroyed reactor. The liquidators, working in hazardous conditions with inadequate protective gear, faced extreme radiation levels. They cleared debris, buried contaminated soil, and erected a concrete sarcophagus around the destroyed reactor to contain the radioactive material. The liquidators' sacrifice helped to prevent an even greater catastrophe. Their efforts, often carried out with little regard for their safety, saved countless lives and helped to contain the spread of radiation. Section 8. The Invisible Killer, Radiation's Silent Spread. The Chernobyl disaster released a cocktail of radioactive isotopes into the environment, each with its own unique health effects. Iodine-131, with a short half-life, posed an immediate threat, accumulating in the thyroid gland and increasing the risk of thyroid cancer. Cesium-137 and strontium-90, with longer half-lives, contaminated soil and water, posing long-term health risks. These radioactive isotopes can accumulate in bones and tissues, increasing the risk of cancer and other health problems. The long-term health effects of the Chernobyl disaster are still being studied. While the exact number of deaths attributable to the disaster is debated, there is no doubt that the disaster has had a significant impact on the health of those exposed to radiation. Section 9. Chernobyl's Legacy, Environmental and Health Impacts. The Chernobyl disaster had a profound impact on the environment and human health. The explosion and subsequent fire released massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere, contaminating a vast area surrounding the plant. The exclusion zone, a 30-kilometer radius around the Chernobyl plant, remains largely uninhabited due to high levels of radiation. This area, once home to thriving ecosystems and human settlements, is now a ghost town, a stark reminder of the disaster's lasting impact. The long-term health effects of the Chernobyl disaster are still being studied. Elevated rates of thyroid cancer, particularly among children exposed to radioactive iodine, have been documented in the years following the disaster. Section 10. A Global Reckoning Rethinking Nuclear Energy. The Chernobyl disaster sent shockwaves through the global nuclear industry, forcing a reassessment of nuclear safety and the risks associated with nuclear power. The disaster highlighted the importance of robust safety protocols, operator training, and international cooperation in the nuclear field. In the wake of Chernobyl, international organizations, such as the International Atomic Energy Agency, strengthened safety standards and implemented stricter regulations for the design, operation, and regulation of nuclear power plants. The disaster also led to increased collaboration on emergency response planning and information sharing. The Chernobyl disaster also prompted a global debate about the future of nuclear energy. Some countries, such as Germany, decided to phase out nuclear power, while others, such as France, reaffirmed their commitment to nuclear energy, citing its low carbon emissions and energy independence benefits. Section 11. Chernobyl Today, a ghostly reminder and a symbol of resilience. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone stands as a ghostly reminder of the devastating consequences of nuclear disaster. The abandoned city of Pripyat, frozen in time, serves as a chilling testament to the human cost of the disaster. However, amidst the ruins, life persists. Nature has reclaimed much of the exclusion zone, with forests and wildlife flourishing in the absence of human activity. The Chernobyl exclusion zone has become an unlikely wildlife sanctuary, a testament to nature's resilience. The Chernobyl disaster serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of nuclear safety and the need for vigilance in the face of technological advancements. It is a reminder that the peaceful atom, while holding immense promise, also carries with it the potential for unimaginable destruction. As we grapple with the challenges of climate change and the need for clean energy sources, the lessons of Chernobyl remain as relevant as ever.